Welcome to Biggest Geek Ass. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
I'm Joe.
This is episode 145 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. Look at the cool people, man. Legion's in the house. Patty's Parlor. Oh, yeah. That's cool. Mercer Core in the house. Darth and Green Apple. I got to name all our people, Joe. I just love these dudes. Legion of Myth.
All out those names.
Flady. Yeah. I said Green Apple. Iron Man, of course, and Martinson. Yes. And the first one in, look at that. Tunkaton.
Hey.
Bringing
You.
it. Hey,
you.
I hid your stuff. I'm in control tonight. Not really.
So, Flady wants to know where the intro song comes from.
There you go.
And it's a fellow out on YouTube. He puts out royalty-free music. You still have to pay for it. You just buy it one time, and there's no ongoing fees or anything like that. I can't remember his name. It's been too long, but I can see if I can find it and post it at some point. What was weird, Mr. Legion? Not sure what you're talking about there. Maybe it's the way everything is working between Rumble and this. There is a bit of a delay. This time it was very short.
Okay, yeah, it was faster, I thought. Who else? I missed some guys. Hungar, hope you're doing well, sir. Point Blank, because he's money. Larry Elliott, Patrick Demo, Crafting Gamer, welcome. And Mr. Boivin, Monsieur Boivin, one of our favorites. They're all our favorites. How's that for being like a
Really cool. Violent Solves Everything is over there on Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to everybody who's over there. 9 people over on Rumble. That's really cool. Probably
Sweet.
includes me because I got a Rumble window open.
Yeah, me too.
Now
Is that both of us? So if I'm there to check the people that are chatting, do I count as being there?
Yeah, I'm sure they don't differentiate.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that's fine. I mean, I don't even know if you can keep that number down if it's if you have like an ad blocker or a VPN or anything like that. They still know you have a window open. So there's really no way to circumvent that as far as I know.
Yeah. Oh, so how's your week been, brother? You have had a good one or not?
Yeah, it's our anniversary this week.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all doing we were doing stuff here at the house, and I barely recognized what time it was. It was like it was 4 something. It was like 4:30 or something like that, maybe a little after 4. I was like, hey, I haven't done anything for this show yet.
Well, I just remembered I got to call in for jury duty today. I'm technically on jury duty this week. Haven't had to go in yet. Here in Michigan, you call, well, at least where I'm at, you call in every day. Have you had to do that, Joe?
It's been a while.
Yeah. So,
one time I absolutely didn't do it at all.
What do you mean?
I was supposed to call in. I didn't
never
call
did?
in.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're like, hey, why didn't you call in? So I called in and said, well, it's over now.
Yeah, so far, I'm hoping it stays that well. House CNH is there. Welcome, dude. See if we got any new rumblers over in the house. Violence is doing it all because he rules. So he says, I don't think the Google slaves on UYT should count. All right.
Well, Violence Solves Everything over on Rumble thinks that the folks on YouTube, which he calls Google slaves,
Yep.
should he doesn't think they should count. So there's that.
Yeah. So yeah, Joe also had a great time on his actual. And your actual anniversary was yesterday, right?
Right.
And so I helped out by taking him away from his wife for about an hour or two while I had to move a desk.
It was actually 3.
3 hours. Well, when you and I get together, time just flies because brilliance and incredible ideas come out. So we're just constantly feeding off each other. So that's just the way it is. Now I feel bad. I hope I didn't ruin her morning too much with that. So other than that, I did get to play on Saturday. I ran a game of Savage Worlds. My boy Ben finished up his arc in the campaign. We're kind of changing DMs around. I have an idea that I've been working on for years, actually. It's kind of a meta plot. So I kind of run the scenario in a futuristic, close to Earth-like setting. Think kind of like Blade Runner, but not exactly. And we had a session there where everybody was playing normal folks, except for Tim Scott. He's the one that lucked out in the beginning and rolled a random psionic power. He may have picked it. Shape change. It was pretty sweet. So really good session. Played 3-4 hours and got into it. I got 2 hours left in the session. I should have really pushed it. Maybe skimmed a little bit off the top at the end because they had one fight, and I think they're about to have one more big one. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure what they're going to do. So, but I had a good time.
That's the one where they have those. There
I'm
it is.
at the Nerd Cognito shirt.
Cognito shirt.
Ryan dropped an episode today with RPG Pundit. I'm not getting into the drama, honestly, because I don't fully understand the arguments. But long story short, that is a good episode. I think they're trying to make nice, and everybody has their own opinions about everything. And I think if it was up to me, I say just let it go, dude. We're kind of all on the same team. So, Rumble will probably get bought out by someone, says Shawner. Well,
Shawner always with the ray of sunshine.
That's my man, dude. Bringing the truth. I don't know, man. I hope not. Hope it doesn't happen. Let's see. Tonka?
I'm not even sure if it's profitable at this point.
Yeah, that may be the only saving grace. So, Patty says he hopes not. They are picking up steam. Tonka Todd, look at that. That's funny. And back. Sorry, I had a nosy neighbor come over to check on me, in quotations, since the wife has gone on a work trip. Like I'm a giant toddler, need constant supervision, I guess. Sometimes I act like a giant toddler. That's not totally unfair for me. Now you, Tonka, I'm sure you're beyond that.
We play with very tiny miniatures that some people might call dolls if they were not very, they're not very generous in their minds.
Or if they're not within arm's reach of me. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't hurt them too bad. They're not dolls. Oh, I got a great story. I don't know if you were there or not, Joe.
Shawner says he gives him 3 years.
Well, he's spoken. Shawner has spoken.
How long have they been out already? A year, maybe 2.
Malachi, man after my own heart. That is right, sir. They are not dolls. They are action figures. That's my story. I'm going to tell it. I was moving out here in the country, not really, but a little bit, out from the city. Oh, what's the ticket count? I think we're still pretty good.
It was 14.
Yeah. And I'll talk about it more later. Metal Dolls and Clickety Clack Math Rocks. Legion. Clickety Clack Math. Yeah. That's cool. Anyway, when I was moving here, I had all my figures, D&D figures in these plastic tubs, and we had hired movers because I'm old and my knees are weak, but they helped us out. And one of the guys came out. I was outside doing something or other, and he's like, "My wife said to put your dolls over here." And I said, "What? You're fired." He's like, "No." First he goes, "What am I supposed to do with these dolls, Mr. Nichols?" That's what he said. And I said, "You're fired." And he goes, "Your wife told me to do that." I said, "I'm kidding. I knew she did." Yes.
Well,
Point blank.
Think that, we're still at 14. So I think that who was it that told you about your dolls that you were just talking about?
Did you like that? That's weird, isn't it? When I take the headset off, I'm incognito.
Yeah, I was talking at you.
It's not that important. So anyway,
So we are enjoying a nice time of Randy not talking because I muted him.
That is not a nice time. They came to see the star.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to change my name. Isn't there a special name change where I can add something to it? Anyway.
Yeah, there is, but you're. I don't know if you can do it at this point. Let's see.
It's
here.
okay. I don't care. It's all. I'm good. Point blank. I need to respond. He says it's huge. Mine is half that size. Well, sir, don't feel bad. Most people's dies are half the size of mine. That's not uncommon.
It's very big of you.
No, it's cool though. I'll whip it out on the table sometimes. People love it. That does not sound good.
Now, sometimes you bring the big red one, and then if we're like limited on space,
Yes.
it's a little blue one.
Yeah. Actually, that's Dave's. It's
That's
not mine.
Dave's. That's right. That's
Dave
Dave's.
has-
That's not
yeah.
yours.
Point blank.
Yours is big and red. His is little and blue.
His genetics, I guess. Shonner thinks you have a ship next to you. You seeing something I'm not seeing? Is that back there? A ship? I don't know.
I don't know how he got it out of that very small thing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I have a little model my
Oh,
wife got me. The
Dude, I
USS
think
Constitution.
I think I have that somewhere. That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I had a good time. We played on Saturday, and Joe and I, barring insanity, Randy's not just going to quit. We're going to play this weekend, and hopefully for 8 hours. I'm going to start at 3:30. I want to end close to midnight, unless of course Joe keeps ignoring me. Then we'll end immediately. I can ignore him, but he can't ignore me. That's the rules.
Well, your wife. My wife has talked to me about your wife, so I have to pay
Oh,
attention to her.
okay.
Hold on
all
a
right.
second.
Sure. Is my wife over there? What's she doing over there? She said she was going somewhere else. Uh-oh. I could be in trouble. Yes. I think that's what it is. It looks like I've got one almost just like it. I'm trying this headset out. Does it sound okay? I mean, you guys could tell. Joe said it
Sounds
was
great to me.
Joe said it was fine, so I assume that it is. I've had this for a while. I'm just trying to cut out my silly. No, Shonner. No.
I have a message to pass along to you.
Mhm.
About your wife called or texted my wife about a baby bird.
Yes, we've
Okay.
captured one.
And do you need some help with it?
I think it's already bit the big one, but I'm not sure. Is she? But if she's willing, I'll ask Jenny, the other Jenny, because she found it, and if that's the case, then I will. Yeah, Larry Elliott says it sounds good, especially when Joe mutes you. Larry, you're my
See, no,
hero. If Larry didn't help me put my flooring in last week, I would tell him what for. Yes, Shonner, a baby feathered dinosaur. But yeah, I think that was about it. But yeah, you should listen to the Nerd Cognito most recent episode that dropped today. It's actually, there's some food for thought. I want to talk to you off air about what we might do next week. It'll be a little different, and I'd like to see what you think, if we can come up with something intelligent about it, because there was a couple of interesting things that were stated, and nothing controversial, just an interesting topic. So
Me and you come up with something intelligent.
no.
Kidding?
Ryan and Pundit did when they were talking, and I thought we would steal it and use it for our show.
Okay, we're just talking about D&D stuff.
Right.
We might say something maybe funny, but
This is a little-
intelligent. I don't know.
No. Yes, Shonner, it is. He says, is this Best of Dragon Volume 2 a single book? Yes. It's a collection of articles. Yeah, from back in the day. I want to say it. Well, should we get into it, you think, Joe? Is there anything else we need to talk about? You want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, so this is
Hey,
a recipe.
but before
Yeah.
we do that,
Yeah.
you guys need to, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe and hit the like button, and do all those things that the algorithm likes you to do. Yeah, do all the things.
Like Best of Omni. I assume isn't that a science fiction magazine?
Yeah,
Very similar. Do you have
yeah.
it?
So do all the things. Head over to the Big Geek Emporium. I keep getting bugged by Bruce about a mug, and I replied to you, Bruce. If you're still listening, I replied to you on Discord.
What did
All
I
you have to do is type mug into the search bar over on Big Geek Emporium, and it will provide you links to mugs. Now, they may not be as big as you like. I
Like
have not
big.
added a bigger mug because we've been having some issues with the merch functionality on the site, and it's just recently, within the last week or two, been restored. Maybe just the last week, and now that it is, I'm going to add a large size mug because I know you want a larger. I think a larger mug than we have. I think they're like 24. Yeah, 24 ounce or 32 ounce, something like that. I don't know what the biggest one is. And Martinson, the shirts, yeah, you should be able to put in T-shirt. You might even be able to put in Big Geek merch, 3 different words, and then it should take you to multiple things. But I really haven't tested the T-shirt one. I tested the mug, but T-shirt should work too if mug does.
The mug takes you to multiple like merchandise things.
Well, it just comes up because in the search bar when you type in mug, underneath it will display multiple options.
Yeah. Okay.
Before you even hit the enter key. So
Gotcha.
all right.
So this is the cover of Best of Dragon Volume 2. Yeah, from the first 4 years of Dragon magazine. So I'm assuming that's the Dragon. I believe. Well, let's see. It'll tell us here. We ain't got to go too far. It's got an advertisement for Oriental Adventure, so it has to have been published around 85. That's when OA came out.
Oh, hold on a second.
Yep.
So Asian motif, and that actually says hi-ya.
Oh no, that's that's problematic. I love it.
Yeah, how dare they?
I love the problems it's causing. So it's edited by Kim Mohan, one of my top 2 guys for Dragon. It says 1981. I don't know what must be the years they published. And this is a list of the contents. Lots of good articles, I would say, on this. This
a
time
lot of articles.
I think there's some really good ones too.
Yeah.
I did read the miscellaneous ones had some good ones, but I didn't get all the way through it. I ended up stopping right at the Blueprint of the Lich, which was a shame because I remember that being one of my favorites of all time. But I got through all the others, and I thought we would just start section by section. There's 3 sections. There's the NPC one, and this has a lot of memories for Joe and I because even though they were for NPCs, I often made the mistake of just saying, well, or if I was convinced of it or whatever the case may be, I'll let players, access those, which was probably not the greatest move ever.
Yeah, because they are not. It's one thing, the little power disparity that there is.
Yep.
With the current classes,
Mm-hmm.
but these classes, with a couple of exceptions, just throw a monkey wrench in things. The scribe, no big deal. The healer, no big deal.
Right.
But the rest of them, I mean, even the samurai,
yeah,
is okay.
Yeah.
All you have to do is not let them have a katana, and then they're fine.
Yes, the katanas can basically become a +3 weapon with a chance to lop your head off, I believe, on a crit. So, was that correct,
Right.
or was it a lopping? I don't know. They had various ones, but I think the most dangerous ones, of course, were the anti-paladin. But they made no even hints that you could do that. Berserker would be a tempting one to play. I didn't think it looked too bad. I didn't think it was terribly clear. We'll get to those in details, but the scribe is a nothing burger. The ninja would be beyond ridiculously overpowered. And it's fine because it's a monster, but as a PC class, no way, Jose. And I allowed it once. How dumb was I? I was so stupid. Multi-class ninja illusionist. It was great. Okay, let's start with the anti-paladin. What were your thoughts there, Joseph? How did you like
Great
that?
villain.
Yes.
Great villain. Lots of ways for you to have that guy in there, and he can be in a very long campaign and you don't have to necessarily meet that anti-paladin necessarily right
Mhm.
away.
Right.
More likely, you'll meet his minions.
Yep.
You might see a foreboding castle off in the distance. I mean, I guess you can have a lower level anti-paladin running around, but why do you want to do that? You make him high level,
Mhm.
give him some minions. He's got various different kinds. An anti-paladin can either, I don't know if it's mixed together, but I think the high charisma
Yep.
one has humans. The
Mhm.
low charisma one has humanoids. But
Love that picture.
It's good.
Love the picture. Yeah.
It's a good illustration.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
I think I would, if I was going to do one like this, I would mix up, have some humanoids in there with the others for a higher level anti-paladin.
For sure. I thought it was interesting. And again, when you think about it, I mean, I know for sure why I didn't care for players to be one of these, besides it was evil. That was one of the things I was not a big fan of that. It was how you roll the stats.
Right.
So, very interesting. So, like, for example, here, I hope folks can see this. For strength, the base number is 12, and then you roll a die 6. So he's going to have, and at the intelligence, the base number is 10, you roll a d8. So he's going to have some pretty good stats. Probably.
Oh, sure. It's odd that I guess the dexterity isn't all that important. So, because they're going to be in heavy armor.
Yep.
And then the charisma. They have exceptional things for Dex and Con. I think it's Dex and Con. What is?
Yes.
Yeah, Dex and Con have special things if they're 18.
Yes.
Or not, yeah, if they're 18, if they're maxed, and then
Yep.
charisma has something as well. So
Did-
four of the exceptional strength is exceptional strength. That's part of the game.
But if you look here, it's am I showing it still or not? Let's see. So let me move this over a little bit.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to show this part where, like, if you have a constitution, was this the case for regular characters? As you got +4 hit points? No, I didn't think so.
And it's not every anti-paladin that has an 18 constitution, let's say. There's only a 25% chance for them to have that exceptional ability. So it's a chance for an extra ability.
And 18 dex would be a -5 to your AC. That's pretty sweet.
Again, if I was wanting an anti-paladin, I probably would just, if I wanted them to have that, I would just give it to them.
Yes,
because
agreed.
Considering how many anti-paladins you're going to run and all of that stuff, you're pretty much just going to select things anyway.
Right. But one thing that was interesting about their powers, I thought was really interesting, was notice that they sound exactly like what you would think: +2 on all saves, immunity to disease, kind of like the paladin. But here was the cool part. Notice right here, they were carriers of diseases. So they could transmit disease because they were carriers. That's kind of
They
cool.
didn't suffer from them. They just
had
them all running through them. What do you think about the chaotic evil? As an alignment, I think that's problematic. I would rather them be lawful evil.
I would too, but they also played them as true. They suggest that they're cowards at heart, and that they actually will get, that if they come face to face with a good, they were tough. They got thief's backstab, use of poisons like an assassin. But where is the one they talked about? If they fight a good character, they get kind of chickeny. That's what they were saying.
It was more in the text.
Yeah, in the text somewhere they mentioned that.
Yeah, they prefer being, underhanded.
Yeah, it's on page 8. Let's see if I can find this. And they can have demons and devils as like minions or advisors. Probably more advisors. And they had unholy swords. This was always one of my favorite. The Unholy Reaver.
Right.
+5 and all the cool abilities of a holy sword basically is just evil. +10 damage points to normal damage when used against lawful good opponents. That was pretty cool.
But the language here, I don't understand. If he has acquired, Maybe they're just trying to. I don't know
Yeah,
why would write it that way. It's an
I agree.
NPC, so you determine whether they have one or not.
Correct.
So it would be better for them to have a chance for them to have an unholy sword. Now that might be in one of those tables up above. I didn't notice. But,
yeah.
But they should have a chance for an unholy sword and a chance for the unholy reaver tagged on like this, instead of, if they've acquired one, well, what do you send them out on adventures or something?
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
I agree. But Darth makes a good point about alignment, though. I understand the anti-paladin having the exact alignment, opposite alignment of the paladin. I do understand it, but they don't. Chaotic folks. Now, to be fair, demon lords are leaders. To say a chaotic evil person can't be a leader is not true. But I think you're not as good. I think all the Darth Vader comparison, Palpatine, anywhere you go with villains, the best leaders tend to be lawful and orderly. Six Nations says hello. Glad you're here, bud. Good to see you. I think, though, with the anti-paladin, I thought it was really interesting that they made him such a coward. I don't know if I don't like it, because I don't like him being a coward. Let me find the statement where it says,
I can see making him a coward at heart, or maybe under certain circumstances he'll take off.
That's kind of the idea. The one really fatal flaw in the anti-paladin is his lack of courage. I guess because paladins are known for their courage. So maybe when the poop really hits the fan, he starts running. Then they give you a percentage chance down here. I don't know if people can see this or not, that he'll turn cowardly when facing a paladin, 25% against others. He has a route factor, and they tell you how he'll act against characters of good alignment. It seems like he's going to be running an awful lot. I would have him only run if it was about to get really, really bad for him. He would be throwing his goblin minions in front of him. Hey, you go get them, and I'm good. So,
yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, especially if you're primarily running good characters in your campaigns, then the anti-paladin's going to run a lot.
Yeah, and you're like, you kind of want to give him a chance, but I understand he would be fun to face multiple times. Who's the guy, Dastardly something? Yeah, Darth says he doesn't like the coward thing. He prefers he's fallen from grace. Yeah, I kind of like the idea. I really like the idea of an anti-paladin who's kind of a very, I don't know if I use the word noble, but he's like, he really believes in himself. And he's like, I'm going to squish you. Kind of the way Darth Vader thought he was going to beat Luke down and make him join the bad. Yeah, Dirk Dastardly. Dastardly. That's the guy I was thinking of, Lady One.
Yeah.
But I think he should be a lot more bold.
Whiplash.
Yeah, he should be a lot more, convicted in his beliefs, and that he would relish the opportunity to embarrass good, to straight up, look at me, I'm tougher than this guy. And that would be fun to have a party with a paladin who gets a real enmity with an anti-paladin, and the anti-paladin really pushes it to the limit, to where, like, maybe the first time you run into him, he really is tough. It's hard for you guys to beat, but you run him off with sheer numbers, and then eventually the paladin gets to solo his butt and take him down. That would be the cool, satisfying end of that arc. So, yeah, true. Vader was a hero in his mind. He did what he thought he had to do to end the Separatist war. Yeah, fair enough.
I guess. Hero is probably not the right word.
Well, he thought he was doing the right thing, or at least the proper thing. Yeah. But I think the anti-paladin was a good choice. What about the samurai? What do you think of that? What was your thoughts on the samurai?
I thought it was okay. The only thing that's really an issue, I believe, with it is the sword thing.
Yeah.
So on the Paladin article is pretty long. It talks about the retainers and all the other things they can do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good article. It's a good resource.
Yeah, here's the problem you're talking about right here with those swords for the samurai.
Yeah, so because are they treated as magical, but they're not magical, or they just have the extra bonus to hit and damage?
Right. I don't think they were treated as magical. Were they?
I don't see.
Let me see
it.
here.
So
It
in any
says,
event,
here it is. Whenever a samurai scores a critical, sufficiently high number on a roll to hit with a samurai sword, he has struck a critical blow. An opponent will be critically struck, but anytime a samurai's to hit roll is a certain amount greater than the minimum roll to hit. What do they say about what a critical hit is? Oh, percentile. Here you go. Look at this. Yeah, oh, they had to roll percentages, so it wasn't really high. But it says,
no, but 25 or 50 or 100% hit points.
yes. Yeah.
Most of the time, it's going to be a quarter of their hit points, which isn't bad. But
oh, and a 50% chance you're going to get one of your extremities made useless or cut off. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And 96 to 100, that's where you could get the lopping effect. Lop your head off.
Oh, let's see. So they make it really complicated. 25% of hit points, or 6 hit points, whichever is greater. 50% chance an extremity will either be cut off. So you roll 50-50. If you hit it, then there's a 40% cut off, 60% useless.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But right. So then it's 50% or 100.
Yeah. And
due
it's
to
fun.
Decapitation or other instant kill blow.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy. And I think we even toyed with letting people play samurai, but I think what happened is a lot of people just wanted to be able to buy the katana. Doesn't the article talk about if someone else uses a katana, they don't get the same kind of benefit?
Let's see.
Yeah,
it says a samurai wielding a Type 0 katana.
Yeah.
So it has to be a samurai wielding these things.
Yeah.
It doesn't say what happened. Okay, what they are is either a long sword or a short sword because it's parenthetical, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they would be if somebody else was using them.
Right.
But samurai using them, it's different. The problem with that is it's kind of a leftover of a misconception that katanas are vastly superior to Western swords.
Right.
And they're not. They're not. Of course, the quality of anything that's manufactured varies. So sometimes you got Western swords that aren't any good. Sometimes you got katanas that aren't any good.
Right.
But it's kind of a romantic view that, hey, katanas are super sharp. I've been folding 50 million times by 4 foot tall, 90-pound people. It's just a
just kind of a dream.
misconception.
Yeah. They had special armor. They had some variation. They called them Type A to Type E. I'm sure there's particular names if you were to look them up. But they had armor class. Type E went to 6. Type A went to 3. So they were slightly worse than, wasn't plate mail 2 back in this game? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think
maybe it's plate mail and shield. Or maybe
okay.
I have to look it up.
I can't remember. Somebody on here probably knows.
Legion Myth, it says Kensai was the best sword fighter in early edition D&D. Not sure if it's in that publication. It's not.
It's not.
But I played Kensai before any other class in Oriental Adventures. Yeah, that's where it showed up at first. I think it was in Oriental Adventures.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Unarmed combat, judo was pretty effective. Did you read what that could do? It says judo techniques are generally reserved for use against unarmed opponents. Judo may be used by a samurai only if he has no weapon in his hands. When using judo, a successful to hit roll indicates that opponent has been thrown, and it will take the opponent 1 or 2 melee rounds to recover his feet. That's not bad.
Right. They use some weird terminology here with the turns. 1 or 2 melee turns.
Yes.
This assumes a 10-second melee turn.
Well,
that should be round.
Yes, and I wondered a lot because when
that's AD&D is turns and rounds.
Right, and there's a couple of good articles that Gygax does in here where he talks about the differences, a little bit about D&D and AD&D, not a lot, just the pattern, and he made some broad sweeping comments. I remember as I was learning AD&D, but getting these articles, buying this Best of Dragon magazine, and reading it and thinking some of the terminology is throwing me off. Do they mean turn like every 10 minutes? and they said 10-second turns. I'm like, what? I wonder. And I read an article today where Gygax said spellcasting apparently was pretty wide open in D&D, not in AD&D, when they did the verbal, somatic, and material components. Interesting. Arnman says judo was invented in the late 1800s. Six Nations 31 Kings says sounds like they were trying to add in the hyper stylized combat you find in those Chanbara, Jaigeki. OA did it better for sure. Yeah, OA did a much better job, as we'll see with the ninja. Ninja has I think some weirdness going on. And then he had his bow, which I think the Yumi right here, his bow was a pretty good bow. Roll to hit was modified depending on the range and type of armor class. I guess that was the case for all weapons. They had that old weapon versus armor class and all that stuff.
Yeah, this is a little more complicated.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's favorable, and it only stretches from 2 to 9. So
honestly, the first time I read the Samurai and the Ninja back in the day, I was not interested. I mean, back in the day, I thought sci-fi didn't belong in D&D, and yes, I know D&D had sci-fi in it. I know that, but to me, it was like I wanted full-on, just regular magical fantasy. Some kind of medieval twist with just magic. And I didn't care for the Oriental stuff initially, but I did buy the book, so we did play some of that Oriental Adventures. And then comes the Healer. This is the one that's kind of annoying. Annoying from the sense that if you look at the Healer, they're considered a combination magic user, fighter, and cleric. The 4th level spell, Energy, was kind of cool. Let's see here if they have it on here. Energy, yeah. That gives you back your levels from being drained. That's kind of cool. I don't think there's anything weird about that. Healers could detect molds and slimes. Little nod to last week. What do you think of that? Was that weird? I guess it fits.
It's kind of weird. Most people can detect that there's mold around because it's going to smell like mold.
Yeah. But I mean, it's useful. I'm not saying the ability's not useful. I'm just saying, kind of what? That's weird. Why does the healer get to detect if a green slime?
Well, 40 feet away. From 40 feet away is not bad.
Yeah, especially those invisible ones. Like the gelatinous cube, which is nearly invisible. Yeah.
So here, the biggest problem though with this, is that they don't have a level chart.
No, not at all. Look at this.
So you don't know if they have the Thaco of a fighter, because that they say that they are like fighters in the right there.
That's it.
Dash of fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you know?
So the dash of fighter they show here is they can use any weapon.
Yep.
But you don't know what they hit as, and
Right.
you don't know how many spells they have because they don't have a level chart showing the spell slots.
Right.
And you don't know whether do they have to prepare or memorize because it has combination magic user and cleric. So do they use spell books or not?
Yep. Dude, and check out some of the spells. They got Stone to Flesh and Mind Blank at 4th level. Wow.
Haste at 2nd level.
Uh-huh. Clone at 6th level. They don't
have a cure, but they also don't have they can't heal wounds until they get their 3rd level spells. Because they have Cure Serious, but they don't have Cure anything else. That's the only they got improved Cure Serious.
Yep.
And Cure Serious.
They get Cure Disease before they can cure wounds? That's weird.
So the thing is these folks are not meant to be going with you on your adventures.
No.
Unless you might be able to say you can have the one as a retainer who stays in the camp.
Sure.
And maybe you hire and you start out at 1st level and you hit the truckload of money, and then you just go and hire yourself a 5th level healer, and then they can cast, they can cure serious wounds, but we don't know how many times because they don't have a chart.
Yeah. Our man says Cure paralysis is not in AD&D, so that would be welcome. I know in the original D&D game, Cure Light Wounds would cure paralysis. So, Six Nations says healer detects slimes molds is probably a nod to Taoist mysticism, chi, or wushu tropes. Kind of odd still. Okay. I didn't think it was. I wonder if it was just me. I just thought it was weird. I mean, I don't mind it. I really didn't care for this class much at all. Thought he was just kind of. I mean, he's not an adventurer, so I don't.
Right.
But
Though they have a lot of good utility spells.
yes.
So if they had a level chart and all that,
Mhm.
this class probably wouldn't be, maybe with tiny bit of tinkering, you can make this a class that's playable, because it's a huge utility class.
And they have high
Haste,
minimums.
Invisibility, strength.
Yep.
All they within the video game vernacular, they have a lot of debuffs, or not debuffs. They have a lot of buffs and curative things. I think if this is going to be a class, if you could make this anything here to be made a class, it would be this, a regular class, and you would just give them Cure Light and Cure Moderate as well.
Now it's interesting though. Did you notice that they have a high minimum scores, 15 in intelligence, wisdom, and dex?
Right.
Pretty significant. And they couldn't.
So I wonder in AD&D if you threw in Cure Light and Cure Moderate, used the cleric chart for spells, the attack matrix of a fighter.
Oh yeah, they'd be
because
okay.
It says dash of fighter, and then leave everything else the same.
They would be pretty good.
Would they be now? I think they would be? You'd have to decide whether or not they were. They used spell books, or they were divine. Their magic was divine.
Yeah. I would lean, honestly, with these guys, I think I would lean toward using spell books.
I would not.
Really? Because they're fighting.
Because it says right here, the various magic books, libras, and tomes to be found will not aid the healer in any way and can only be harmful.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
So.
All right.
They get bestowed a lot of abilities, so I would say they're probably divine in origin.
No armor, no shield, but may use any weapons. Yeah, see, I don't think I would give them a full fighter attack matrix. I'd probably have them attack as a thief, attack less, weaker.
Weaker even than the cleric?
Probably. Well, they don't. They're healers. Did they really not combatants at all? They're not like the Templars.
It says that they have a dash of fighter.
The dash is they can use any weapon because they get. That's how it was. That was a thing back in the day, Joe. You can laugh at it, but it was. It was a thing. Admittedly, it wasn't a very interesting thing, but Arnman says.
But it's not a very usable PC class, and it's barely usable as an NPC class because you don't know how many spells they have.
Yeah, Arnman says I would make them a variation of Druid and nix the fighter ability. Sure. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But again, these are NPCs, so they're specialized and they're meant to be. So yeah, that's all right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Berserker. Did you find? I may have missed it because I'm dumb. Where does it tell that it doesn't give them any stats? These dudes eventually take a weird shape, right?
Yeah.
Are the bonuses in the weird shape the ones that are in percentages? Like right here. Let me see if I can find it. Modification to, here it is. Modifiers to dice rolls. There, I don't know if I highlighted it or not. Right in the lower right-hand corner. To dice rolls for level of lycanthrope follower. Oh, it's a follower. I don't get, what's the advantage of their weird shape? Where does their weird shape really come into play?
And I guess they don't really describe it very well, do they?
No, these berserkers, see, they say, okay, each berserker must become a shield brother in one of the following clans: Weirrat, Wolf, so on and so forth. When the berserker earns his weird shape, he will take that form when berserk, receiving all to hit and damage bonuses which apply. Where do they apply? Where do they come from? Are they in this chart somewhere? I don't see it.
Me neither. It also says
Mhm.
the berserker does not receive any of the special characteristics of lycanthropes. So they just have the shape of one,
Okay.
but that's it. They're shaped like one.
Yeah.
So yippee.
Yeah. I guess. I thought the berserker was kind of weird and dumb. I didn't quite get it. They reduce their chance of being surprised by one at level 4. They can detect hidden and invisible enemies at 6th level. Something about getting hirelings, but they can't hire other ones if they die or something. Advantages while berserking. Intelligent opponents must check morale. That's kind of good, but I don't know how do you assign that to a PC? That seems kind of weird. You're going to make PCs check morale?
Oh, that's a special case for this particular class.
Yeah. They get +2 to hit and damage. He's immune to psionic attack while in a berserk state. Disadvantages.
So it doesn't look like you get any bonuses when you go berserk.
No, they seem really kind of dumb. I thought I had found this. There's an example, and I'll tell you in a minute. A berserker may not withdraw from melee while berserk, remains berserk for as many melee rounds as he has points of constitution. All right.
Oh, it says, okay, all attacks by the berserker at +2 to hit.
Yes, but that's not.
Okay.
Okay. I guess.
Okay.
That's it.
And
Yeah. 10% chance per round he'll turn on his opponent, on his allies if all the bad guys are down.
yeah, I don't see the point of the weird shape. It's stupid.
Yeah, their example, they give some weird examples of it. A Werebear Berserker, here you go. A Werebear Berserker of level 10 with a strength of 16 and a con of 10 will drop his weapons and attack as a Werebear when berserk. Hit probability is +3. Where's that coming from? Damage is 2 to 4.
He's got a strength of 16. So he probably gets +1 from strength and +2 because he's berserking.
Okay, that's dumb. That's all? He doesn't get anything from being level 10?
2 to 4 by a claw, 3 to 9 with the bite, and 3 to 17 with the hug.
Yep.
Armor class is 2. Yeah. You don't get anything of that in here.
But is this for a regular D&D, not a D&D?
I'm not
Some-
sure.
Some because this is where it got kind of weird because some of these were for. Let's see when did this article came out in 1976. I don't think AD&D was out yet. So, Iron Man says 16 has no bonus to hit, just to damage.
It's possible. It says you don't get any special characteristics of lycanthropes. The general stuff like defend, only silver weapons hit you and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But you might still get like the attack routine.
That's what Darth
that
just said.
form.
Darth said, sounds like he is still a weird creature having those specific types of attacks. Yeah, I agree. They just, and you know what? At 10th level, if I turn into a Werebear, that's not that impressive.
No.
Seriously, I mean, party's going to tear right through me. But I mean, I guess whatever. It didn't seem all that exciting. They talk about followers here and their clan, and on the clan they tell you how they advance. At least this is better than the healer. If you're the bear type, you're a fighter, and if you're a tiger, you're a fighter. A druid if you're a wolf or boar, and a cleric if you're a rat, because holy people are rats. Yeah.
Here's another thing.
One of the weakest.
At first level,
Mm-hmm.
At first level, the berserker's best allowable armor class is 6. So,
But they get a bonus.
They get a bonus every 2 levels.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting at 3rd level.
Oh, so no limit.
And no limit. So, by 10th level, maybe that's why his armor class is what it is. No, that
3, 5, 7.
his armor class here.
Should be
armor
4.
class
Should be
is
2. Yeah. So yeah.
Armor class
okay.
is 2.
Yeah. Okay. Consistent. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
best allowable armor class. Just okay.
It's weird.
All right. So it says the best level armor class is 6, and they may use magic items available to fighters, with the exception of magical armor and shields. So, but you can whatever. I don't know how many things that they had that improved their armor class, um, apart from magic armor and shields, because fighters were pretty severely limited in what they could use.
Yeah. Bruce Lombardo, welcome, Bruce. I know you've been here a while. This is why I like the post-WotC game. The ability scores actually mean something. A 12 is a +1. A tremendous 16 is a +3. That's the best thing WotC added to the hobby. Yeah, it's advantages and disadvantages, though, because the unstoppable race to ever higher ability scores gets a little weird. I'm a 18th level fighter, and I got a 22, 23 strength. Without magical advancements, I don't know. Maybe.
It all depends on what kind of game you want to run. Do you want to run that kind of game? Do you
Yeah.
The earlier the game is, the early game, AD&D, BECMI, White Box, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Your stat boosting was iffy. You almost never saw it unless it was like under an archway, some weird thing. And the magic items that that became stat boosting items later on were very limited in the early game, like the belt of giant strength, and only added to your damage. It didn't add to your bonus to hit.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the gauntlets of ogre power did, perhaps.
Right.
But the belt of giant strength didn't. It just added to damage.
I've read so many different versions of that in the last year. They all run together. I don't remember. So,
yeah, and they just had the strength booster.
Yeah.
In the early game, I don't think they had the other stat boosting items. But you did have modules that, hey, you eat this, your intelligence goes up, or if you fail a saving throw, your dexterity goes down, or some other crazy stuff like that.
Yeah. Bruce is still screaming he likes the higher ability scores. I don't dislike them. I don't know. After a while, it's just a race. It's weird. Or it becomes required. You're 9th level and you don't have a 20 in your main stat. What's wrong with you? You should have at least a 22, 26. You remember that, right? What level are you? Oh, you must have a 24 intelligence then by now, right? Yeah, okay. I got this belt, and scroll and hat and helmet and intellect and headband. I don't know. I don't know. Part of it left.
I think that it went overboard with the different things that you could use to boost, but I don't mind the scale. I just think that the ability to boost it up really high was too easy.
My theory I'm thinking a lot about a game again and whether it'll probably never be made, but I was telling Joe yesterday, there's something about the build game. I want a game where I don't have to build and the players as a DM and the players have enough to keep them satisfied. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm thinking. Thank you, Mercer Corey. He's going to leave his PC logged in so we don't lose the viewer.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, point blank, you're right. I agree. I'm sure Bruce's game is great. It's relative. Some games that feel right with the high abilities, yeah, I don't dislike them. If I had my choice, player abilities would probably only change during significant events, like acquisition of a magic item, like some cool event blessed by a god or completed some powerful ritual. It wouldn't be like, whoop, I'm 4 levels higher. Boom, another one strength. +2 to strength. Was it +2 or +1 every 4 levels?
Depends on what you're talking about. Third edition, I think it was +1 every 4 levels to a stat.
To a stat, yeah. It's fine. I mean, float your boat. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I played it for many, many years. Yeah. So
I think we are colored by the end game.
Yes.
The way it ended up. Because what ended up happening is there were so many ways to get all of your stats pretty high, or at least 2 or 3 of your stats pretty high, that +1 every 4 levels, yeah, that's all right. But there's all these other things you can do as well, and they all stack together, and they just, I can see why someone wouldn't like it.
And I think
That happened at the end of the game. The same thing with Paizo. By the time we got deep into Paizo, you're talking so many different ways to make your stats ridiculous.
Yeah, this is now. See, here's Bruce, and we're talking game. I'm talking theory here, Bruce. I hope you don't think I'm saying that my characters were too powerful and I couldn't handle them. That was not the issue. But he makes a good point. At Randy, in 4th edition Hackmaster, you had incremental raises by small percentage points when you would level up. Over 20 levels, maybe 5 out of 6 scores would go up 1. Honestly, I would prefer that. I prefer that kind of if it's nothing more than you just being you, no special events, no magic items. I don't think, if you're a grown-ass man at 25, I guess if you work out all the time, it's one thing, but adventurers don't get a pump iron. But they do get fit, but they're going to reach a point where they function. You know what I'm saying? You're a very fit range.
Maybe.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what you're going to be doing that's going to make you that much stronger. But
adventuring. You are adventuring.
You're going to stay at a fitness level, though.
It's that argument is the realism argument. That you could also use that same argument to say what is about adventuring makes you be a better magic user.
Fair enough.
You use experience points.
I like it. I still like it. That's fair. I still like that. I like the idea of characters gaining slowly on their ability scores. And maybe it's just because, to be fair, say that again.
You're stingy.
It could be my stinginess. That's not unreasonable. 2, I think it's just affected the game so much. Ability scores were the name of the game in 3rd edition.
The problem with everything going up at the same time, multiple things going up at the same time over the course of a character's career, means that the monsters only increase more in a linear fashion, whereas the characters increase on so many different dimensions that the monsters don't keep up.
That is a problem.
Especially when you're doing solo monsters. They get crushed.
Which is why Bruce needs to plug his advanced bestiary now, because you need it as a DM.
Yeah.
I don't really care, honestly. I mean, the game was fine. And Darth makes a good defense here, too, with spell. He says, you need higher intelligence because in the game requires an intelligence of 10 plus the spell level to cast the spell in 3/5. True. It was built into the game.
You did that in AD&D, too. It's not that precise thing, but in AD&D they had the chart.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
Spells you needed a 17 intelligence.
19.
Or 19. No, I'm talking about older.
First
AD&D.
I thought it was 19 and AD&D. It wasn't?
It might be. I may be remembering wrong. 17 was just as hard to get. It was hard to get your stats to 17 unless you rolled it.
Yeah. I don't mind. Oh, Arnman says he goes, so is the limit 20? Is it 30 like the incremental abilities? He likes the incremental ability scores with the max at 18. I have no issue. Look, guys, I'm just telling you what I like. And I don't think the argument that an adventurer would keep getting his ability scores would get higher because he's adventuring. It can be whatever you say it is, Joe. I don't disagree, though, the logic behind it, but it does strike me as a bit odd. There has to be a place where you're capped physically. But no, maybe not, because we are talking about, I'm actually arguing myself out of it, because when you get 20th level, you're not like any person on the planet, on our planet. There's no one like you at 10th level. A 10th level fighter.
I think what you do is just pick what you want. Don't worry about thinking about what may be logical or realistic or whatever. This is what I like. This is how I'm going to make it. And that's the way it is. Because that's the way it is. I mean, most of the other things in the game are like that. Well, why do magic users only get X amount of spells at first level? Because that's the way it is.
Correct. I don't disagree. But I'm saying my comment, too, was in regards to a game, should I make it? I'm not saying change
Yeah,
D&D
sure,
to
sure,
fit it.
sure.
If I'm playing third edition, I'm not changing that ability boost. I'm just not going to mess with it. I don't care enough. I toyed with that crap for a long time. Wasn't worth it. I'm just saying if I
So
made my own game, I don't think I would give the power ups through just ability. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
yeah, but just choose it.
Yeah,
Don't worry about the logic. Don't worry about trying to make some in-game realism argument for it. Just do it.
Joe.
This is
Make in-game arguments for silly elf games.
It's better to I think make the game work and not worry about what the particular in-game justification might be for it.
Well, if we get to the Gygax articles, he has some comments on that, which I think are interesting and you probably will like. Let's see here. Scribes. Which part of that did Joe not like? Tell me which part you hated. Did you read it?
I didn't really care for the thing at all.
Did you like the part where it said all arcane writings are cursed to cause insanity if you try to scribe it? Only a scribe could scribe it.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Not even a wizard. So a wizard couldn't even scribe his own scroll.
They're just having a weird justification for an NPC class.
Yes.
Hey, we want this NPC class, so we're going to make this thing so that wizards can't scribe in their own spell books or make their own scrolls. It's stupid.
Yeah. Hey, you got a fan.
I mean, if you want to have classes that are so super specialized that they can't, like that's like saying a fighter can't sharpen his own sword.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right.
That was dumb. I agree.
mean, soldiers in the current army, we're taught how to maintain our weapons. So, I mean, you can't make your rifle because you don't have the gear or the know-how, but
Sure.
you should be able to maintain it, oil it, clean it, all that stuff. Same thing with back in the day fighters. They would be able to sharpen, hone their blades, keep them maintained. Same with their armor. They know how to do that stuff.
Yeah. It's this
Or they
a lot
should.
a lot of good points here. I hate to put this one up. Point Blank says, is Joe ever wrong? Not in this universe.
That's what I say.
Yeah. And Bruce Lombardo says, scribes sound like a career path in Warhammer. Yep. I like Dark.
Now, have the scribes. You can have the scribes, but it's the
Yes.
whole thing where wizards can't scribe their own scrolls.
Stupid.
It's stupid. Have the scribes as well. It's an additional thing you can have in a town. It's the town scribe. He's not a magic user,
No.
except on a very low level, perhaps. But yeah, I could see a scribe maybe going insane by trying to
That's what I think. I
scribe
agree.
a high level spell because they don't have the magical training. They're just tracing,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep. Dar says, that's bull. I'm writing my own damn spells. I don't want anyone to know what I have. Yeah. Yeah. That was something I could never. I've read in a few games recently where wizards are super secretive about their spells. Not the wizards in our parties. If we had more than one, hey, can I look at your spell book? Sure. You can look at mine.
Yeah, why
too.
not?
Let's trade spells. Why not? Though the conceit of the game is wizards. I don't know if it was true in AD&D, but in some games the conceit is wizards would never share their secrets, and the players immediately share their secrets.
Certainly a particular way of looking at things, but to say that every wizard does the same thing is kind of weird.
But
Here's another. But what?
But if the conceit of the world is that's how most wizards are, you don't have to be the exception.
No, you don't. But
I mean,
PCs are
every time.
The PCs are the exception. Most of the time, you don't have more than one magic user anyway.
True, that's fair.
Sometimes you do.
But when you
Sometimes.
do, you're sharing. I remember it was ShareFest.
So there's a couple other odd things here. One is what you have to pay your scribe.
Oh, dude, yeah.
1 to 5,000 gold pieces a month.
Yeah.
And then there is a 5% cumulative chance that the scribe will just take off.
We'll just leave. I'm tired of writing. 1 to
done.
5,000. And he has a chance of error.
Yeah. I don't know. David Mumper, if that's the author of this article, if you're listening to this and you're like, dude, I worked so hard on that. It fits my world so well. Good. It fits your world. That's probably the only one. This is really weird.
I agree. I fully agree. Oh, Darth says, in the game he's in right now, my wizard has learned a way to copy spells super fast and has started stealing spell books from other people on the party to copy and return without them knowing. Yeah, Iron Man, better career choice, adventurer or scribe? Scribe's making bank, dude.
I don't know. The first time a scribe, I mean, depending on their boss, if their boss is that anti-paladin, the scribes will not act this way because that anti-paladin boss will kill them. What do you mean you're leaving? Yeah, I'm out of here. No, you're not. You're dead is what you are.
Legion said earlier, you still need to read magic once. Once you do that, you can share freely. Oh, like the percentage to read someone else's spell book? Is that what that is for read magic?
It's something like, there's something about that in the old game. Yeah.
You know, the more I hear the guys in the chat, I tell you what, when we get our chance to play, because we're going to be fully into Hyperborea, God willing, this Saturday, we're going to play like madmen. But hopefully we get a chance to get back to AD&D or Rules Cyclopedia. I have forgotten some of these details. Even that comment that Legion of Myth commented about, I'd forgotten about rolling percentages with even read magic's not 100%. Is that true? That seems right. It's been so long. Yeah. And Bruce made a funny comment earlier. He's following it up now, but I want to do the earlier one. It says the scribe is the only creation of a crappy the scribe is only the creation of a crappy DM that can't think of a good way to keep a party poor. I know a great way to keep a party poor. How? Let them have a castle. Yep. I know a good way to keep them poor. Have their henchmen steal their crap while they're sleeping.
That's not happened ever.
No, I would never do that more than once a day. The henchmen of my world can't ever get jobs because they steal stuff. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Scribe was dumb. All right. Let's see.
It's absolutely no need to have one.
No. Now the ninja. Oh, it's the same dude. No, it wasn't. Sheldon Price.
No. He did the next two articles. This one and the next one because they're both ninjas.
The ninja is the deadliest thing you would ever want to face. This guy clearly loves the idea of ninja. He loves the mysticism of the ninja, everything about the ninja. The ninja was beyond reproach. What did you think, Joe? He was unstoppable in every way.
He has so many different abilities. So many.
He got powers from the samurai, the monk, the thief, and the assassin. He couldn't be psionic, though.
NPC. It's an NPC, though.
Correct. That is true.
So what? So what? They're too powerful. They're not character class. So
Quick note,
it doesn't matter.
Legion clarified. Once you successfully read magic one time, you can always read magic from that same author without issue. Oh, right, because you got to learn the way he writes his spells. Okay. Yeah, so the ninja was like so overpowered. He had special weapons that did crazy things. No, Martinson. Ninjas were not afraid of the dark. In fact, if you played a ninja from this book, you should be afraid of nothing. You are the best. You are the best class, period.
But again,
NPC.
The only one playing it is the DM.
Right. So he could be a thorn in the party side and a serious thorn. Listen to these powers. I got them highlighted. He can use any weapons like a fighter. If he comes across a lawful sword or a chaotic bow that was magical, he has a 20% chance of being able to use them with no drawbacks. So he can use any aligned weapon with a percentage chance. No racial limits. So whatever race you were, whatever race they allowed, I think it was half elf, could be ninjas. Level 16 was pretty tough limit. Ranger tracking, 20% less than the ranger. He could simulate death, like, feign death. He had night vision, started at 30-foot range, became 60-foot. He was supreme disguise master, surprised like a monk. His hit dice, Did you notice his hit dice, Joe? Notice
Holy
what
crap.
they eventually become D12s. What do you think of that?
10d6, 9d8, then 6d12 plus a d8. I'd have to do some rolling to see if that makes any sense. I mean, the d6, d4 to d6, and then the multiple d6. Then this, you get 8th level, and you get at most 2 hit points, or
look,
maybe 7 hit points.
Am I misreading it?
7d6 to 7d8.
What about, yeah, and then, okay, and then back to 10d6,
Then 10d6.
then 98, then all D12s. That's so weird. What was this guy doing? Was he calculating
You got to
averages?
re-roll your hit points whenever you change the level. That's weird.
Arnman asked, was Sheldon Price 14 when he wrote this? I don't know. Sheldon, this ninja, Bruce says, is written by the guy that wrote the American Ninja trilogy by Canon Films. Only a ninja can kill a ninja. Ninjas can spin around and drill into the rocky earth below them. Dude, I'm not done though. Listen to this crap. So he attacks as a fighter, saves as a magic user +1 level against spells. I believe magic users in AD&D started with a 12 saving throw on spells, correct? So he's literally better than magic users at saving versus spells.
Right.
He gets judo as a samurai. He gets a damage saving throw. You're seeing that in that middle column. So what is that for? Melee, missile, direct damage, and even fireballs if he's on the edge. He does have a drawback. He begins with -3 to all weapons.
Except ninja weapons.
Except ninja weapons, which, by the way, that gets expanded to every weapon you've ever had, but better. Let's see. Backstabs as a level 1, as a thief, 1 level higher, and assassinates as an assassin, 2 levels higher. They're not overpowered at all. I'm sorry, even as an NPC, that's kind of busted up, isn't it? It's kind of dumb. Giving him all that? Unless maybe one dude, you're going to create this ultimate foe for the party who's like one guy who's mastered all these things, and you just use these abilities, okay? But a whole class of them?
Right. So I would take out this save versus damage.
For sure.
And then the hit dice I would fix because that's crazy. That's crazy town. The
Just
rest of it you probably keep.
You know, he loves him. Just give him D20s through all his levels. Just make them all D20 hit dice. I mean, if you love him that much.
Right. But I'm saying you can fix the hit dice, take out the damage save, and then keep everything else because they're supposed to be an annoying. They're supposed to be, you know, the ninjas from the 80s movies, all the ninja movies. They were all super powerful, super ninjas. So I guess there might be some other things that you can pair out of here that would be a little too tough. Is it this book or is it some other book where they have grenades?
Oh, they have cannons in this book. They get a cannon. Like a little baby, like a little tiny cannon. Oh, they gain levels. Look at this. They start at 0 level and they gain experience points like a freaking thief. Almost. Look at that. They need 500 experience. They need 1,000 to go to level 1.
No. That's money. That's, that's an assassination table.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, holy crap, what is going on? I didn't even notice. That was stupid.
No, you don't worry about experience points.
Good.
They're NPCs.
Yeah, good. We're not doing everything, but what I think is hilarious. So they give all these cool weapons and abilities and assassinates, and look at all these pages and pages of information. There's some stats on some of their weapons. Yeah, it's all kinds of cool and stuff. Hold on, dude. My computer's about to die. I thought I had it plugged in and I did not. So hold on. All right. I'm back. But then there is a follow-up article. And I love, this is still the same article. I don't even want to go down there. The new and improved Ninja. Like he needed it.
Here
It's crazy. Go
is a
ahead.
crude large-barreled one-shot high trajectory mortar.
Hmm.
Yep. And they have a land mine,
Yep.
shotgun, and grenades.
Yeah. Yep. Because remember the ninja we had back in the day, the ninja illusionist, and I take full responsibility for it, killed Tiamat with grenades. Ninja
But they
grenades.
say they don't. It doesn't say what they do. It says treat as an alchemist's flash pellet.
Oh, well, I probably screwed that one too.
So this might have appeared in the same Dragon magazine that the alchemist class from back in the day was in, and then you use those flash pellets.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. But we had, who knows? It was probably grenades from the Terminator world. I was doing crazy stuff. Yeah. Oh, and the art of Kujikiri. Did you read that?
Is that in this first one or the second one?
Second one.
Second.
On page 22. The
I
art of
probably did. I just don't remember.
Kujikiri is a strange skill. It consists of making strange, almost magical passes and signs with the fingers. These signs are not magical. They act to restore the ninja's morale and self-confidence, make better decisions, and to entrance one's enemies. The entrancing effect, non-ninjas only. A non-ninja who looks at these signs being made becomes semi-entranced for a short period of time with no lingering memory of having been semi-entranced. In simple terms, the non-ninja becomes insensitive to the ninja's presence. A saving throw versus the sign is allowed for a non-ninja. If the save is made, there is no effect. A ninja must concentrate while making the sign to be allowed to. That's crazy, dude.
So as soon as a non-ninja sees the ninja, they do this thing, and then they're like, it's a way of being invisible.
Yes. Larry says, I did not screw it up. You simply modified it to serve your current needs. Yeah, my needs were to kill my player characters, which I failed miserably. But so the ninja made me the DM that I am today.
So they have a special case for first time you
Yes.
when exposed to this.
Right.
You have to roll 3 to 18, 3d6 under the average of the victim's intelligence and wisdom, rounded down. I mean, silly.
Yeah. Right, Flatty One. This is not the ninja you're looking for. Yeah, so I thought that, I get it as an NPC, but I still, as I read it, I liked it even less. And he got Wolverine claws and all that good stuff too. A bow that was better than every short bow, fired twice as fast.
So every ninja trick that you've seen on TV, in anime, these guys have all of them.
Yeah.
Now, according to the class listing, the first class listing, they only get so many of these.
Yeah.
And then they can get one. They can add certain things throughout their career, but they get a lot of them.
Six Nations 31 Kings says, ditch the stats and skills, keep the pajamas. Right on. Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious. The more I read it, I was like, man, who was I? How did I ever even consider it?
It was a product of the time, though.
Yeah, true.
It was the product of the 80s.
Look at all these pages.
Because ninjas were big.
Pages of crap. Oh. All right, dude. You want to tell them to do the things before we jump into the sorcerers? Or did you have other things to say about the ninja?
No. I mean, use them. It'd be interesting for them to be just used as NPCs in the context of the game when they were introduced, and see how they work out as just an NPC. Definitely don't give that to the PCs.
No. That's too much for them. They can't handle the truth. It's way too much.
Right. So, yeah, that's all the classes.
Yeah, this next section called the Sorcerer Scroll. Well, why don't you guys like and subscribe if you do like and want to subscribe to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
do the things out there. If you haven't gotten your tickets to Big Geek Con for
Get 'em!
September. Go out and get them. They're $30 each. We're at 14. Be good if we could get a few more by the end of the month, which is Friday.
Yep. We're going to push a little further, though. We're not giving it up in July, though. We decided we're going to go further down the road because we can. We got a little more leeway. So, oh, man, goodness. So, the Sorcerer's Scroll articles are basically by, I think they were all by Gygax, weren't they? Just about every one of them were by Gygax, I believe. That was his article. So, let me read this part, a little bit of it. For the benefit of those who may have been locked in a dungeon the last few years, the co-author of Dungeons and Dragons game and the creator of the advanced D&D game, if not for his ideas and games that sprang from them, there wouldn't be a dragon, let alone a best of. So Gygax has given these articles from the Sorcerer's Scroll. That was his space to expand rules and clarify different ideas. Gary definitely was not light on opinion. He had his opinion of things.
Right.
The first article was about D&D relationships, May 1978. It was basically a quick review of how the White Box led to the AD&D books from Gary's perspective. And he made a stopover at the E.J. Holmes, Eric Holmes basic set, how it related to it. It was a clarification of that and how he claimed AD&D, this is the one thing I thought was kind of bold, that AD&D brought clarity to the rules. Which probably in some sense it did, but in another sense it just made some things complicated, I think. What do you think?
Well, okay, so he talked about kind of the history.
A little bit.
And then he gets into the why going from the basic set to AD&D, the basic game to AD&D, and I think it's a crap explanation. Because it actually isn't the right one. We know that he made AD&D in a kind of bid to push Arneson to the side. But his explanation here is that because basic D&D and the books and supplements that went with it, expert and whatnot, had become cumbersome.
No, OD&D, the original White Box. What?
The D&D basic set was done with care, and it can lead to either the original game. Okay,
right. Yeah.
So this isn't talking about the blue book or the red book.
It's talking about Eric J. Holmes basic, the first basic set.
That's the book. That's the blue book. That's not the That's not the white books.
If Malachi's here, he'll straighten us out. But it's the Holmes D&D. Give me a second.
Right. It's the basic set, not
right. Correct.
Not the white books. Right?
Right.
And so he was talking about it says here, because of the many supplements and articles which had become needed to render the D&D game more easily understandable and multifaceted. I mean,
he talks about gray areas in the old rule, which I don't think he's fully wrong. If you look,
but there were. I don't think he reduced the amount of gray areas when he came to AD&D.
Yeah, here he says there were too many gray areas in the original rules, too many different books, too many varying approaches. Okay, and work will never.
Because we can't just be talking about the basic book.
No, he's talking about the original. No, he's not. No. So I'm not sure maybe we're talking past each other. Let me slow back down a little bit. So the white D&D books came out, and somewhere along the line, the Holmes basic set came out. Let me do this real quick, Joe. I will.
Which is the blue book.
Yeah, kind of. Yes, I mean Yes, I think it's blue, but it's like a light blue. Let me show you what I mean. Do you recall this cover?
Yeah.
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 Go ahead. Yeah.
But it's the same as the other, or it's
close.
It's pretty much the same game, isn't it?
Pretty much, but there's some different things in it. It's not fully the same. It's one of the
Okay.
it's one of the basic sets. There were multiple basic sets, dude. There was this
Sure.
one, then there was the Moldvay one, and then
Yeah.
there was the Mincer, which you and I were raised on the Mincer book.
Okay.
Mincer basic.
That's the blue one.
I know it's complicated. I believe there was only this basic set. Too bad Malachi. If Malachi's on here, straighten us
But
out.
it's but what I'm
Oh.
saying is it's not the white book.
No, not the white box, not the pamphlets, not the little pamphlets. At this point, I think all the little pamphlets have been made. The Gods, Demigods, and Heroes was supplement 4. There was Blackmore and Eldritch Wizardry and the Blackmore supplement. I think what I said that already. The Greyhawk supplement. Those were added.
So
on the
this
core.
was a distillation of the old white books, according to this, right? Rewriting and editing necessary to extract a beginner's D&D set from the original volumes. The original volumes being the white books.
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah. So this was supposed to be a bridge. I think Gygax wanted it to be a bridge from the old white box to AD&D. That's what he wanted it to be. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But the point was, I do feel like he left off the whole I think the way he, like I said, I'm not on who's right, Gygax or Arneson. I can't say. I wasn't there. I don't know enough. One camp will say one thing. In the end, I think Gygax added to D&D. He made it more. Oh, here we go. Tonka Todd, I think, may have it for us. Order of release: Holmes Basic blue box set. You had Moldvay Basic D&D purple box set. Then came Beckme red box set. Oh. I thought the basic Beckme was okay. I'll take your word for it. Sounds good, Duncan. I don't know. We had some of those box sets. I've seen them all. So I've had my hands on all of them. I just don't know if they were mine. But with Gygax and Arneson, I feel like he's kind of, but he's not going to admit anything he did that was not cool. Neither would Arneson, I don't think. I think in the end, if I don't want to go down that road, but I think they both added something to the hobby. I don't think you can't talk about D&D, who gets credit for it, without saying both their names.
Yeah.
I don't buy anybody who says, no, it's really Arneson's game. No, it's really Gygax's game. It was both of them. So Moldvay is known as the magenta box set. Okay.
Oh, let's just come up with another word for the color.
I
just
swear,
say blue or red.
Yeah,
No,
I swear,
magenta.
I was thinking the Mincer Basic Beckme was a blue. No, it wasn't. It was red, wasn't it? And then Expert was blue, dark blue, and then Companion was teal or what color? I don't know.
Yeah,
what
it was
colors
something like that. And then the
and
master was
was
black.
black, and then Immortal was brown or gray or gold or something. We didn't. I
I
never
don't know
bought it.
about
I never bought anything past the red and blue. I jumped into AD&D. Anyway, that was a little bit of what this article was about. What did you think of did you have more to say on that? I don't have too much to say on that article.
He just gave a bit of a history there, which is cool.
There's an article on spell areas and spell ranges, underground and above ground, how they meant for ranges of spells to not go to yards, or apparently there was some kerfuffle. I found that moderately interesting, but didn't mean much to me right now.
Right. Yeah. I guess the summary at the end of this article says what we've been trying to kind of limp over. The basic set is aimed at new players, while it channels these new adventures toward the AD&D game, with its better ordered and more clear rules. It suits such players for the play of the original game just as well. The AD&D books will provide a better, cleaner system aimed at improving the understanding of the role-playing game system.
Right.
I am certain you will find them worth the wait. So, at this writing, when this article was originally written, the AD&D books hadn't been published yet.
Well, it's
By
70.
the way this reads,
Well, I believe the Monster Manual says if you look up. Well, let me see if I can find it. Let me present
because it says, "I'm certain you will find them worth the wait." The D&D books will provide a better.
Second column. Look at the second column, second paragraph, and right after the second sentence, editor's note: Monster Manual was released about the same time this was originally printed.
Yeah, printed. So he wrote this.
Right. So you're right. Not quite, because I think it went. People out there, I think it went. Monster Manual was printed first for AD&D, then came the DMG, and the PHB was last. Is that correct?
I don't know about. I know the Monster Manual. I heard the Monster Manual thing, but the other two I don't remember.
I'm not sure either.
But the thing is, you didn't have the rules yet with the Monster Manual. You just had the monsters.
Right.
You had to wait for the DMG and the Player's Handbook to have the actual rules. I mean, the monster book had rules for the monsters, but you didn't have any context for them, really.
Yeah. The next article was ground and spell area scales. That wasn't too. Oh, here we go. Our man's got it. Okay, so DMG was last. Thank you, sir. I had them flip flop. All right, sounds good.
Right.
Did you read the?
I didn't find that interesting in the slightest.
Yeah, it was just barely piqued my interest. Just how they said some things.
I don't get having a different scale for. People have described why there is a difference between the indoor scale and the outdoor scale.
Yep.
But I think it's dumb.
Well, here's what it was. He said, unfortunately, the majority of D&D enthusiasts did not grow up playing military miniature, so even the most obvious precepts of tabletop play are arcane to them. So I think it has to do with being a miniature war gamer, which neither one of us are. I'll just pretend like that's true. I don't really care.
The justification is this, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because indoors you have
ceilings,
the ceiling height limits, and various other obstructions and whatnot. It means you can't target things as easy. So I guess it's easier just to have range differences than say, oh, when you're underground, it's -2 or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense that scale changes. It's weird. You cast your fireball outside, it's bigger somehow.
No, that's what he was saying. The area of effect does not change inside or outside. The scale was more for movement. Movement was the change part.
I thought it affected ranges for missile ranges. I thought it affected area of effect, but I guess not. But I thought it affected weapon range or missile ranges.
It would have been a small matter to explain to everyone that the outdoor scale must be used for range only, never for area of effect. Okay.
So range, missile range.
He said ground scale, movement distances, movement, missile fire, spell casting. If time scales are, you can read it for yourself. It's a lot of I don't care.
It does affect spells, but not area of effect. It affects range.
Apparently.
So which is weird because it's the double tick or the single tick.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm just looking at what he's saying here.
Actually, double tick is both double tick, but double tick means two different things.
Hold on. No, he's saying here. No, he's saying if he's talking about time scales, talking about figure size. If ground scale is changed, movement must be adjusted. If 30 millimeter or 25 millimeter figures in scale buildings and terrain are not used, then the area of effect must be adjusted proportionally. I ask your collective pardon. Despite distortions, each meshes with the other to make the game great, he says. I'm trying to find where he explains it. Yeah. He said it had a lot to do with using minis. Movement was adjusted to a period 10 times longer than, because they assumed you marched longer. I don't know. I don't care enough. Not interesting to me.
It's odd.
Yeah. Yes, Arn, man, it did relate. He's right. I'm pretty sure it's related to miniature on the table. 1 inch is 10 feet or 10 yards. What if you shoot from 30 feet inside a barn, out the barn door to an open field? Yeah, yeah. So I just say don't worry about it and just
Your
say,
books blow up. That's what happens.
right. So if the players are trying to hit something far away, you use 1 inch as 10, use the 10-foot scale. If I'm trying to hit them with a boulder, I use a 10-yard scale. That sounds good.
So if your giant's throwing a boulder, he can be in 2 states away from you.
Correct. And
As long as he can see it, as long as he
no,
just a little piece of
no.
you.
2 states, he'd have a penalty of -2 with 2 states. With 1 state, he would have no penalty.
Okay.
5 states, he'd have -5. So yeah,
And the rock he's throwing is half his size.
correct.
It's not a little one like this. He has to do like this.
I had trouble with that when I was young. I kept thinking they throw big.
Should be area of effect.
Well, they said boulders or rocks, and I thought they were throwing things that were massive. But then I saw Andre the Giant. I remember in Princess Bride even that helped clarify. He's throwing something like that. That's definitely a deadly missile. That would do.
Still, yes.
That
it's
will
as
do
big
three-
as your head or bigger. Yeah.
That will do 3 to 24 damage, guaranteed.
Sure. That will
Yeah.
do death.
Yeah, yeah. I think people
But-
took that into account, Jack the 71st. It almost seems like these were really, really optional. Yeah, I think it just, you know what, who cares? Who really cares? But if you're a heavy miniature gamer and you're worried about, we're in a tactical thing and we just finished playing Chainmail or some other war game, now we're playing D&D, that stuff's gotta, and you love war games, you may want your battles and your RPs to simulate war games. And then you might want to worry about that, but we never did.
Right. So basically, it's just the way to think about it is this: whether it makes sense or not, whether it's realistic or not, is irrelevant. These are the rules for tabletop mini war gamey type things.
Mhm.
So the difference between underground and outdoors, that's the way it works. You don't worry about whether it makes sense or not. That's just the way it works.
Now, did you get to read the next article, Realism versus Game Logic?
Oh, well, I've already got my opinion about that. So why
Yeah.
don't you lay it down for me?
Well, this is interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and just read that from my iPad. Here is his statement. Gaming is a form of play. Fun is a synonym for game. To my mind, a game which provides ample fun and enjoyment is good. If it brings endless hours of amusement and diversion, it's proportionately better. This view is held in common with most D&D enthusiasts, but there are those vociferous few who seem to find their principal enjoyment in attacking rather than playing the game. He's really defensive here in this whole article.
Right, right.
The D&D game is
But
a game.
the last thing there. D&D game is a game. That's what I always say.
Mhm.
It is a game.
It says realism. He goes, interestingly, most of the variant systems which purport to improve the game are presented under the banner of realism. I have personally come to suspect that this banner is the refuge of scoundrels. Whether the last or first refuge is immaterial, realism has become a bugaboo in the hobby.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, I don't know about now, but definitely has. Realism is silly. It's a game. You don't worry about realism.
So
You worry about verisimilitude.
Yep.
You do the things that make sense within the context of the game, but you don't worry about realism.
I highlighted some quotes from him. He says, those who insist on altering the framework should design their own game. Now, I think there might be more to that. On the surface, that could sound really bad. But he said, if you want to change the framework, I think he might be implying that if you wanted to change it so that you're using a dice pool, or that you have percentage stats, or you have a roll and roll under sort of thing.
Yeah. What is the framework of the game?
Right. I don't know. What does that mean?
Roll a d20, add your modifiers, compare them to your target number, however it's decided here. You have your THACO or you have your charts. So that's how success is determined when you're attacking. Kind of the same thing with saving throws. You roll a d20, you're modifying it, comparing it to a number that will succeed. In this era, most other combat actions were complicated, like grappling, or they tried to have different rules for jousting, but it's kind of silly too. It's an attack. Who cares? But yeah, when folks use those kinds of words, when they say the framework of the game, you got to define your terms. I think.
Yeah.
What is the framework? And the D20 roll seems pretty foundational, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of, we'll talk about that next. That's what I want to get to that. That's good. Keep that in the back of your mind for next week. Arnman says the 1 minute round makes it a game above all. For sure, it's not a simulation. I agree. He has some comments on that, but I've got some other quotes, lots of highlights I made because I wanted to hear Joe's reaction to this.
Yeah.
At best, a game can give a reflection of reality.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah.
The absurdity of a crapper realism in a pure fantasy game seem so evident that I am overwhelmed when such confronts me. Yet there are those persistent few who keep demanding it. For example, he calls it the camel of working magic. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Where is that at?
What, the camel? It's on page 29 at the bottom. Still in that big paragraph, but near the end. Countless pantheons of gods and devils, monsters that turn to stone or breathe fire, and characters that are daily faced with Herculean challenges they overcome by a dint of swordplay and spellcasting is gulped down without a qualm. It is the gnat of unrealistic combat or unrealistic magic systems or the particular abilities of a class of characters which makes them gag. That's true. People accept a lot, and then because don't we get hung up on how combat works, how magic works? Yet we're like, yeah, it's cool. A Medusa can turn into stone. But sometimes I weary of that defense because it's the same defense as like, well, it's magic. Or, well, dragons. Remember that? That was a real popular thing for a while. Oh, but you're okay with dragons. It's like, come on, dude.
There needs to be some internal consistency.
Yeah, that's about it.
If you're going to try to say something like, we need to explain how precisely the magic works within the game, or we don't really know what we're doing, it's kind of weird. Magic is magic. How it really works, whether it's you got gerbils running everything, whether there's some sort of crystals within the planet that power the magic, or there's a giant nuclear reactor that's slowly leaking out that's providing all the magic for the world. All that stuff is fluff. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Some other comments. The D&D rule system is a make-believe game. If players fully agree to suspend their disbelief when playing it, the game has reality for them. As a game must first and foremost be fun. It needs no claim to realism to justify its existence. Hey, Raven Wolfgar, what's up, dude? Hungar is back. He left. Snuck out.
Oh, I see what he's doing with the camel.
What?
Okay, so you got a camel and then a gnat. Right? So the camel swallowing a gnat.
Yes.
You can swallow
all this other crap.
And that's a camel, it's big.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gnat, he's saying all these other things: unrealistic combat, unrealistic magic systems, particular abilities, blah blah blah. That's a gnat. That's tiny. Who cares?
Yeah.
Everything else is big. They can swallow the one, but not the other. That's what he means by camel and gnat.
Right. Okay, that's what I kind of read that. I wasn't following that. The D&D system exists as a game because thousands of people enjoy playing it. Since the game was specifically designed to be fun and enjoyable, and the consensus of opinion is that it is so, does it need to have logical justification of any or all of its rules? Because logic does not necessarily create an enjoyable game form. That's true. The reply to this must be generally negative. Logic, even game logic, must be transcended in the interest of the overall game.
I think so, yeah.
The rules exist for the play of the game. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
How about this one? Getting good. Additions to and augmentations of certain parts of the D&D rules are fine. Variants which change the rules so as to imbalance, there's the word, the game or change it is most certainly not.
Where's that one at again?
Bottom
Just repeat
page,
that.
bottom of page 29. Additions to augmentations of certain parts of the D&D rules are fine. Variants which change the rules so as to imbalance the game or change it, so that's weird, are most certainly not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imbalance. What does he mean?
Yep.
Change it. I mean, variants with change augmentations to and augmentations of. So additions and augmentations, right? Those are also changes.
Oh, here's a good question. Could it be fun but not enjoyable?
No.
My gut says no. You have to. I think things can be sad. My work is satisfying. It's never fun.
Right.
My work is not fun, but it's satisfying at many times. Destructive variants. Are you ready for what he thought were destructive variants? Magic users employing swords. Fighters using wands. Thank you, Raven. It is a cool t-shirt, Raven Wolfgar. Are you the Raven that Ryan talks about, buddy? If so, welcome here. Yeah, cool Sparkle Troll t-shirt. I'm not sure you can get anymore. It's really kind of fun, but yeah. He said he calls those both problems. Fighters using wands, wizards using swords. What else was he down on? Multi-class character types such as elves and dwarves are limited in most progressions in order to assure a game balance. He thinks it can be justified in game logic, pointing out that humankind triumphs and rules over other life forms, most of all myths and mythos. He says it's not necessary to have a reason. He thinks it's just game balance.
Well, you know what? He's wrong.
Okay.
Because 3rd edition, because Pathfinder, because people like playing powerful characters. So what he's saying super character would soon have nothing left to challenge him or her, and the players would grow bored and move on to something which was fun. Wrong.
Right. Well,
wrong.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think his comment is, I think what he doesn't realize is you can have super characters, because we had them in Elysium and Cabin Con. And the thing is, if the players are going to min-max and squeeze every ounce of power out of the rules, guess what the DM has to do? The exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to take liberty to challenge them. If I just played CR appropriate encounters for our Elysium game, it would have bored you eventually.
Sure.
Because you guys would have just mopped the floor with every single thing you faced. There'd have been no challenge.
So what he's saying here is,
where are you at? Where are you reading? What page?
Right. Why can't magic users employ swords?
Okay.
That's the second paragraph of page 30.
Yeah.
So in that paragraph, so he's saying that wizards using armor or swords
makes him a super character.
No, it does not.
I don't think so.
Because if all you do is give that wizard character, you write sword on his character sheet and say, hey, I'm attacking with a sword. You say, did I hit? No. Did I hit? No. Did I hit? No. Oh, I hit. How much damage did I do? 2 points. Why? Because my strength is 6 and I'm taking a penalty on my attack. So on my damage. So big deal.
I don't think the sword is that big of a deal. I do think armor would be would be a bigger advantage to a wizard, because then he can defend himself. He would be more hardy, and if he could have a comparable AC compared to a fighter, you start to wonder. For the fighter's advantage is he hits things. But I guess I don't go hard. I don't go hard on that.
What you would end up having is, let's say in the context of in AD&D, how much did the weight mattered?
Yes.
So if you have a noodle-armed wizard trying to run around in plate armor, they didn't have weightless armor in AD&D, as far as I know.
No.
Plate armor was plate armor. Magic didn't do anything to its weight, if I remember
Right.
correctly. It's been a while. They had like the Elven Chain, but that's still only armor class 5. And you could have Mage Armor, which is armor class 4 or 3. Actually, 2 or 3 for a limited amount of time. So, sure.
Yeah. Right.
You can say that. But I don't think it's true.
What's not true?
I don't think at the end of the day, your character's only going to have 1 or 2 points higher armor class because you're not going to be wearing plate armor.
Oh, sure. I mean, I
You're
think
going to
it's
be wearing leather or chain at most.
Yeah.
You're not going to be strong enough to carry that stuff.
Yeah. I do think, I don't know if I think that or not. Part of me thinks it made sense that it would restrict their movement to cast spells, but I don't know. I have no idea.
They can make fancy sword moves. It kind of doesn't really carry water.
Well, anyway, I mean, look, there's also.
I think it's aesthetic. It breaks an aesthetic idea that we have about wizards wearing armor, fighters not having spells. It's just
our man.
No, but they weighed something. You might be right.
No encumbrance. They might have been light as a. It depends on what version of the game. Maybe he's right. I don't know.
There was a version where you didn't count the armor.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty debatable. He said the critical hit or double damage on a 20 is particularly offensive to the precepts of D&D. And his argument is not unlike Eric Tinkar's, that if you do that, the players essentially will suffer more for it than the monsters will.
Well, I don't think that bears out in my experience.
I'm not sure if it's true either. Opponent scoring
there's more players than monsters. Almost always.
Well, in my games.
If you throw tons of monsters in a particular encounter all the time, that might be true. Maybe. It all depends.
He said, here's what he says. And this is early on. He said, opponent scoring. You guys hear my dog barking? Probably not, do you? Okay, good. Opponents, no. I wouldn't think so, but I was just double checking. He said, opponents scoring a natural 20 will likewise cause a double damage hit or critical hit upon player characters. That's one situation. As a 20 indicates a perfect hit, a 1 must indicate a perfect miss. So that's what he says.
I'm just saying no. I'll just say no.
Okay. So advantage, only good can happen. The really bad can't happen. I'm not saying I agree with it. I get where he's coming from. I just don't think it.
If you're saying if you do the critical hit, you must do a critical miss. Right. No,
I don't think you can. I don't think you have to. The attacker must roll to find if he or she has broken his or her weapon, dropped it, or missed so badly as to strike an ally. When these additions are suggested, the matter is usually dropped. No, it's not. No one cares. He said it'll be ruined by instant death. Doesn't care about that. Let's see. What else did he not like? Or when it was dangerous. Weapon expertise. He was not a fan of that. He didn't think you should have specialized weapon stuff, which is funny because eventually specialization comes into the game.
Yeah.
So clearly his opinion changed. Spell point systems are also in vogue at this time in some quarters. Strangely enough, realism is used as one of the reasons. And he goes, what's realistic about it? And he makes a good point there. I mean, there's nothing more realistic.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I hate realism. Gygax. I hate realism.
Mm-hmm.
This weapon expertise paragraph, it employs realism.
Yeah, right. No, he's against it. He doesn't like weapon. He's saying he doesn't want weapon expertise.
Correct. But he's employing an argument from the point of reason and logic to dispute weapon expertise.
Well,
when before he's saying, I don't like realism or logic.
Well, he's doing it. Well, he's not fully saying he doesn't like it, but he is saying that sometimes you let logic go and realism go for the fun of the game and the balance of the game. He's harping on what he thinks is balance, and I'm not sure that it really was. I'm not sure that the
Right.
issues he's concerned about. Spell points add nothing to the game except more complication. I don't get that at all. He says that Vancian magic system works splendidly in the game. If it has any fault, it's toward making characters who are magic users too powerful. This sort of fault is better corrected within the existing framework of the game by requiring more time to cast spells, by making magic users progress more slowly in experience levels. Spell points add nothing to the game but complication, more record keeping, more wasted time, and a precept which is totally foreign to the rest of the game.
That's a nice opinion, Gary.
Well, to his defense, have you found what you think is a good spell point system yet? Have you seen one? Which one?
In my mind.
Well, I've never seen one in a game. I've yet to see what I think is a good spell point system. But to be fair, I love the idea of it.
Every time they've employed one, it's either been too restrictive, like in the first version of Psionics for 3rd edition, but then they went totally overboard in the revised Psionics book. The revised Psionics book, way too many spell points, way too many Psionic points.
Oh, way too many. Yeah. Yeah, I still yet to see a good one. I think the best one was the 3.0 one that I saw. I agree. It is. Jack the 71st says, I love reading Gygax's insights because it's his opinions. Sure. And his opinions, they waffle and change. And I'm not knocking him for that. Because I actually think I think we're too hard on people sometimes. Well, you didn't say that last year. Because, dude, you grow, you change your mind. I mean, I'm not the same DM I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same DM I was 20 years ago. I don't think the same way about games that I thought before. We joke a lot about how hard I am, and I'm still pretty stingy. But honestly, a lot of that's just, I just don't think, Joe doesn't believe me, but I don't think about putting stuff in the game. I don't. I just think about the story and what I'm setting up in the encounters, and hopefully
but
things don't get screwed up too much.
It comes from a deep-seated stinginess.
It probably does.
Those players, because it's subconscious, those players don't need nothing.
It's probably true.
I'm not going to give them 10 gold pieces. That'll make them too powerful.
And then he goes off on some. Then he goes off at the end of the. Oh, what's that?
Point Blank says, "What about this? Metal armor obstructs the wizard's biokinetic field, which disrupts his ability to channel ethereal energy." Okay, that's an explanation, but I think what we were trying to say is earlier, you don't need. That's flavor for a particular setting.
Yeah.
Right. That's fine as flavor for your setting.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need that as a basic part of the game. All we need is a rule. Can wizards wear armor or not? And if not, can we get around it? But that's a setting thing.
Or it could be in the rules. That could be the default D&D
It could
rule.
be, but I'm just saying for D&D, it's not necessary.
So you're saying, fine, you can't wear armor. Let's move along.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Dar says something.
I'm just saying, if you're going to have a rule, just have a rule.
Okay. I have no problem. I think it's fine. It's a good explanation as any. 3.5 spell points, Dar says, would let you memorize a number of spells that equal the same number of spell levels you got by the chart. That sounds kind of dumb.
Yeah. So why?
Why bother? And didn't you have to use them in a very specific way too, Joe?
Okay. No. That's 3.5 spell points. He's not talking about the weird spell point system they came up with when it was
Arcana.
What was it?
Honor.
Player options.
Yeah.
Right. So player option.
Oh, that's what I'm. 2.5.
That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5.
So the player's option spell points were, hey, I can prepare the exact same number of spells I could without spell points, and I had to do it before we left. You do it. It's spell preparation. You use spell points for spell preparation. There was maybe a tiny bit of wiggle room, but that's it. It didn't really make any difference. And 3.5 spell points, if you got the same amount of spells, number of spell levels, but you could vary where they were at. Like you could memorize a bunch of first level spells and maybe just one or two higher level spells, but it equaled out the same level of spells.
Yeah.
Then that would be fine.
You've toyed with that, but I think we've toyed with that, and I do think that's a little busted. Let's not go down that road. I think there's a potential for abuse, because then you'll just
not with the way 3.5 worked with spell caps. If you didn't have spell caps like they had in AD&D,
but then you can pull.
So I could cast Magic Missile all day. So what?
Yeah, but at higher levels, Joe, you could choose not to cast Magic Missile, burn 5 of your first level slots, and get off Wall of Stone.
Well, that depends on if you let them, if they had to prepare them in advance.
Oh, right, true.
But if you just could cast it on the fly, yeah, I can see that being what you mean. I can see what you mean about that.
Dude, I'd say this. It's 9:30. It's 9:30.
Yes, it is.
What do you think, man? Are we gonna? I don't know if I want to. Do I want to do it a second one of this or not? Think about it.
Let's think about it. We can cut it off here.
I think we have to cut it off here. There's still lots more of this magazine to go through.
Right.
Maybe we can make this a come back to sort of series and finish this up in a little bit of time.
So in essence, though, this particular article is Gary Gygax making the case that for the majority of the rules that are in the game, you leave them the same.
Because they're the best way to do it.
They're the best way to do it. You don't worry about logic except when, the logic works for him. But that's fine.
I think Iron Man's maybe asking, I don't think this is how it works. A 5th level MU does 3d4 plus 3 all day long?
Oh, I don't know. That sounds paltry.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, he means like with a magic missile, 3d4
yes,
plus.
Right.
That's why I'm saying, 3d4 plus 3 in 3rd edition parlance. Who would care? I mean, 5th level, you're 3d4 once around. Who cares?
It's not that great. Last little bit on this article, though. He says, just as we must prevent the spoiling of the game by tinkering with the integral systems, we also take every possible step to prevent exploitations of D&D enthusiasts by publishers who hide shoddy products under a fantasy role-playing guise. We cannot stop them from putting worthless material into print, but we can certainly make it clear that it is neither recommended nor approved for the use of D&D. Buy them if you have the money.
He's protecting his system.
Buy them if you have the money to throw away, but at peril of your campaign. Do not use material which alters the basic precepts of the game.
Don't change. You have to roll that D20. If you roll 3d6 instead, your house is going to cave in.
This sounds pretty bad. Be glad, for it will, if you use the game as written, it will help to assure that your game remains a good one, and that when you see a D&D product, you will have reasonable expectations with respect to quality. Change one part could well ruin the rest. And then what would you play?
That's very melodramatic.
It really is. Even in 78, dude.
We were tinkering. House rules were a thing, and we had fun with all our house rules, even when we were goofing around and not really even reading the rules that much. It was still fun. And then once we really started reading the rules and playing by them, it's still fun. And when we introduced our house rules, most of the time it was fun. Sometimes we went back and forth on them, but really.
Oh, brother. Okay. So
Martinson says, is he talking about WotC from the past? I don't understand what you're saying.
I think he's saying from back in the past, he was predicting WotC in the future. That's how WotC would be.
Oh, is he predicting?
Yeah, don't you dare buy other D&D stuff. Anything related to D&D.
It's so weird. Okay. It's one thing to like your own product, but you don't see almost any other publisher talking like this. This was a Gary thing.
Yeah. Darth, everyone have a great week. Happy 4th of July next week. Right on, dude.
Yeah, and you had in other industries, the CEOs and the creators of those things were very. You could find examples of this kind of talk. My tires are the best tires until they, explode out on the highway.
Right.
We stick by our product. I understand all that stuff.
Right.
This was a very long article to say, I stand by my product.
Yes,
That's essentially what he's saying.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
All of this other stuff is really a lot of words.
I think it's funny, but I mean, to each their own.
Right.
All right. So again, we're gonna talk a little bit. What's going on in Big Geek Emporium? Anything new this week, Joe? You need to give updates to everybody.
We're continuing to squash bugs.
Sweet. Squash the crap out of them. Big Geek Con, September 22nd, 23rd, 2023 at the 4 Points Hotel in Saginaw, Michigan. Be there or be square. Kids 13 and under are free with an adult, max 2 kids together. Adults must accompany the child during the whole time. Tickets sold at the day of show will be $40, even if you come just for one day. Martinson wants to know if we're going to do a show on the 4th of July next week. We may have to talk about that. Joe and I have to discuss that. Yeah, that's the 4th, the day. So we'll see. Joe and I may figure something out. 2 of the 4 free tickets have been spoken for. 2 of the ones that I bought, I have decided to give to some game designers that are going to show up and let them come for free because they're going to run games like crazy people. But we'll be giving away at least 2 next time. I might even buy a few more to give away if people really want them. But I'm not sure people are going to want them because lots of the ones that are coming, I think, have already bought. But we'll see. Anything else to... Oh, my adventure. Yeah,
wanted to...
Go ahead.
What were you getting ready to say?
I was going to update my adventure. Go ahead.
I want to point out Point Blank's correction of you. Shikaka, which is you.
Yep.
Thanks, man, but he's right. It's just a lore explanation. I was just trying to make it make sense.
You guys are being silly with Joe. Quit filling his head full of foolishness. He's not. He knows he's not right. He's never right.
But it is a good lore explanation.
It is a good one.
Just like the one that I was I've mentioned to you about the runes.
Yeah.
Your system, there's a mystic rune that's penetrating the universe, and the wizards, as they gain mastery of magic, they're exposed to more and more of that rune, and all the magic that they do on Earth is a very rudimentary use of magic. If they could see the entire rune all at once, they probably would explode.
Yeah. I don't know. On another note, I don't know if David Quill is listening, but he sent me a final draft. I found several typos. I did want to thank him. He put a little input on an encounter, David. It was very good. It has to do with a treant. I hope I'm not giving too much away. So
he found your typos, or you're finding his typos?
I found my own typos, some typos he sent me the last draft. Hey, fix anything you need to fix. We're getting ready to put this thing out. And David Quill added a little wrinkle to the adventure, and I'm going to give him some more credit for that. So I liked it.
Wrinkles are good.
But I hope to have that out soon. I got to hurry because Patrick will be at Gen Con for long. I'm not sure I can get them printed by that time. I hope I can. Anyway, you ready to get on out of here, Joe? Want to give them the...
Yes, my legs are cramping.
Okay, so if you'd like to support the show, please like, subscribe, and share us where you're listening or viewing. We are on all the socials, video, podcast places. Cash support can be given at PayPal, Streamlabs, Ko-Fi, or Patreon. On the web, check us out at www.biggestgeekuspodcast.com or email at thegeeks@biggestgeekuspodcast.com. And, of course, Big Geek Emporium, where you can have games your way, biggeekemporium.com. And hopefully soon you will see Tragedy at Tygon's Falls, my adventure on Big Geek Emporium. And maybe I'll have some printed copies to show off a little bit soon. So I don't know if Joe's leg has cramped him into oblivion. He and I being big.
I can talk.
Okay. Are you ready to get the heck out of here, dude?
Yep.
All right, guys. This is Randy.
This is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us and cramp like us, then be geeks like us.